What's going on, guys? I'm Steve. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another video. If it's your first time stopping by the channel, hit that subscribe button. Trust me, you won't regret it. If you're a returning subscriber, as always, guys, welcome back, and I do appreciate support. Guys, I'm going to talk a little bit more about some new information that came out about the Maddie Soto case. I mean, information just been spilling over as of late since the 1,000-page discovery of what Stephen Stearns did to this young lady, where she tragically lost her life. Has been revealed. I want to talk about another angle of this from the standpoint of the victim today. I mean, I just, want to be honest. The amount of stress this girl was going through from the time this guy started messing with her in an inappropriate way up until the time of her death had to be immense. Dealing with depression and stress is one of the #1 killers of people in America and other places abroad. But to have that burden and heaviness put on a child, it's unfathomable. A lot of times adults don't know how to handle stress, let alone a child. I want to show you this newest news update, and it talks about the signs that children exhibit when they're under some type of stress or after having something traumatic done to them. I want you guys to pay attention. Now, Madeline Soto is no longer here, and she did show signs of stress at school, and that's what this video is about. Always pay attention to your kids, man.
We are learning more tonight about Madeline Soto, the 13-year-old girl who investigators say was severely sexually abused and then murdered by her mother's boyfriend, Stephen Stearns.
Many might be asking how the abuse lasted for so long without teachers, friends, or counselors knowing what was going on in her home. West 2's Luana Munoz continues to pore over the nearly 900-page document sent by the U.S. Attorney's Office. Luana.
Yeah, that's right. Investigators believe that the sexual abuse had been going on as far back as when Madeline was 8 years old. And according to those documents, Madeline exhibited behaviors that would have raised red flags. But as far as we know, no one did anything about it. We spoke with a licensed counselor to help people spot the signs of abuse. According to this incident report, investigators interviewed teachers and classmates of Madeline Soto, the 13-year-old who had been extremely sexually assaulted for years by her mother's boyfriend, Stephen Stearns. Madeline's PE teacher told investigators she always appeared, quote, anxious. Another teacher said Madeline had, quote, sleepy days where she comes in, puts her head down, and does nothing. Teachers said Madeline seemed, quote, fatigued. In another interview with the 13-year-old classmate, they said Madeline would, quote, come to school crying and complaining about her mother. Other times, Madeline would cry and she would say that she just wanted to cry. Despite all of that, no one reported Madeline's behavior.
Teachers and people that work at the school are mandated reporters, so they are obligated by law to call in, report to the Department of Children and Families. It's not up to the school system to determine that there is a possibility that this is true or not true. That is the burden of DCF and law enforcement.
Licensed counselor Renee Sharowitz says kids like Madeline often slip through the cracks if they don't tell anyone specifically what they're experiencing at home.
There's a fear of retribution. There's a fear that she's going to be further punished. There's so many fears that the adult in this case, the stepfather, boyfriend, whichever, is saying these things that we don't know what he said to her to keep her quiet.
Madeline's mother had previously said she would send Stearns to sleep with Madeline in another room. Detectives say they found images in Stearns' phone showing him raping Madeline in ways that are just too graphic and disturbing to even say on television. They believe the abuse may have started when Madeline was just 8 years old.
If there's any suspicion, report it. The burden of proof is not on you, and rather save a life than wish I would have or could have done something to help.
And once again, Stephen Stearns, this man right here, is accused of killing Madeline. The state attorney announced this week that they are seeking the death penalty against him. Back to you.
All right, guys, that's the news. And I got to be honest with you, from a standpoint of hearing all of the horrific things that little Maddie went through, This news article right here has to be one of the hardest. Just thinking from a standpoint of, what adults go through when dealing with depression, anxiety, so on and so forth. But when it's happening to a child that it shouldn't be happening to in the first place, from those that have been through something like this, not the abuse part, but like exhibited these type of traits, mental anguish. It's hard to imagine somebody 13 years old going through that. This goes back to what a lot of us thought. And like I said, it was a rift between her and her mother, Jen Soto. I honestly believe if you want to really speak in depth about this situation, I think her mom was self-absorbed with Stephen Stearns and her own life, to where she ignored a lot of signs. Because if she was showing signs like this at school, she was showing signs like this at home. Do you guys remember that article, that interview she had when Stephen was in the background? She was like, "Oh, they say she got ADHD, but I don't know." Yeah, I think a lot of them symptoms, she didn't have ADHD. She was just stressed out, and she didn't know how to get rid of the stress. So it reflected in a lot of the ways and actions she had. This girl suffered in silence, y'all. In silence. And you see it. Mom chalked it up. Oh, it's just Maddie being Maddie. So let me tell you something. A lot of times when children are abused and stuff like this, they want to sleep with the door open, or they don't want to sleep by themselves. She kept forcing this girl to go right back into the jaws of the demon that was eating her alive. Regardless if she had something to do with it or not, her being oblivious to the feelings of her own child is what caused this. Now these teachers, if we go down the line of what was said, a gym teacher said she appeared anxious all the time. Another teacher said she had sleepy days where she just laid on the desk and did nothing. What do a lot of people that are stressed out and depressed do? They sleep. Don't want to do anything. Stuck in their own misery. This is what signs you see in an adult. Imagine that for a 13-year-old child who presumably, they are saying, been touched since she was 8 fucking years old. The psychological damage, not counting the physical, is what makes this case really, really messed up. They need to give him the death penalty and take him right outside and chop his head off on the courthouse steps. They do. This guy was a master manipulator. He cared nothing about anybody. He used everything in his immediate circle and in his grasp to his benefit. What did the students say? Maddie was fatigued, constantly crying. She would go to school and complain about her own mom because Jen Soto was not protecting her. Man, this hurts my heart, y'all. It do, because I have a daughter. My daughter's 9. I couldn't imagine anything like this where she wouldn't come to her dad. Now, I don't know anything about the father, and I'll find that out when I get down there, I guess. But the relationship I got with my child, I could not imagine all of this happening, and she was so scared she wouldn't tell me. Man, this story hurts bad, y'all. It does. It does. And it's not the only one. Somebody right now is going through that, whether it's a little boy or a little girl. I want you to think about that. This is bullshit. This is bullshit. If I had a family member that was locked up right now, man, I mean, I would tell all this stuff. I mean, they see it on the news. They don't even have him around nobody in population because it's such a high profile case. So a lot of y'all are like, oh, well, somebody gonna get him in jail. No, not right now. No. He's isolated. These teachers seen signs. They supposed to report it. Did you hear the lady? But nobody did. And I think a lot of that has something to do with, you know, them thinking, you know, she's just having a bad day. Or they probably talked to her mom before and they probably got a file in school of, oh, Maddie just can be difficult sometimes because they hear it from the mother. And Jen Soto be seeming so passive, they be thinking she's a good fucking mom. Either way, man, a lot of people failed this child. That's all I'm going to say about it. Stock Market Steve for the Dynamic Reason channel. As always, like, comment, share, and subscribe. Justice for Maddie. I'm out.